scarring of the economy is less than he thought at the end of April.
Fantastic to have you with us. Thank you so much, Simon Wells, Chief European Economist at HSBC. We'll let you get back to the dogs. And Roger, we're pretty much at the end of the hour and almost an hour into equity trading here in Europe. We are definitely negative on the Stock 600 now, down 0.3%. This is Bloomberg.
Witham offers private equity expertise.
If you want to do something important, work in adult social care.
I'm Greg and I lead the team at a residential care home. Supporting people to live life to the fullest. It's an amazing job to have.
We are recruiting in your local area. We need you now, and they need you always. Care for others. Make a difference. Today. Search adult social care jobs now.
Dating can be tricky, especially when you can't meet face-to-face. So it's time to get creative with the easy way to replace physical dates, Video Call from Bumble, the dating app where women make the first move. Here's Anna Williamson and Tom Reed-Wilson with some tips on connecting online.
It's a bit harder to flirt with limited body language, but nothing beats a smile and some eye contact to show them you're interested.
And have an activity plan for your date. This will help break the ice.
Download Bumble today.
While most of us are looking out for each other at this time, sadly, fraudsters are trying to take advantage of the situation. Here's Chris Ainsley from Santander with advice for keeping your money safe.
Phishing emails are designed to trick you into giving away personal details. Messages might be about travel refunds, delivery tracking, or supermarket vouchers. Remember, never click on links or attachments in emails received out of the blue.
For more advice on keeping your money safe, visit santander.co.uk.
24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, on the Bloomberg Business app, and on Quick Take by Bloomberg. This is Bloomberg Radio.
This is Bloomberg Daybreak Europe.
External pressure is going to be an opportunity for reform in China. I think liquidity more generally across financial markets is an issue and a concern.
The Spanish banks in particular are in a much better place than they were 5 years ago.
It wouldn't be great to have a drawn-out trade conflict with the US or indeed with anybody else. But I've never been one to prophesy where sterling will be, and you're a madman if you think you can.
Bloomberg Daybreak Europe on Bloomberg Radio.
A very good morning from London. I'm Caroline Hepke.
And a good morning from the Bloomberg Bureau in Berlin. I'm Matt Miller. You're listening to Daybreak Europe on London DAB Digital Radio.
So a word on the UK, Matt. Boris Johnson will be back leading the press conference this afternoon when it comes to coronavirus. Of course, the UK worried about a second wave, but now the government has finally decided to include non-hospital deaths into their count. So total fatalities here, 26,000 people in the UK. So there's a real worry that Britain could end up being one of the worst victims when it comes to the coronavirus outbreak. All of this amid, of course, the US and Europe, how much stimulus is going to be added by the ECB later.
Yeah, very interesting. And especially, I think, markets are focused on the ECB. We didn't get much from the Fed, but markets were rising earlier on optimism about President Trump's Operation Warp Speed and, the attempt to find a vaccine sooner by the end of the year. Also, Gilead's, as Dr. Anthony Fauci said, promising treatment for coronavirus, or for COVID-19, I should say. But we had Shell cutting its dividend for the first time since World War II, and that brought the stock down, which has now started to really weigh on markets. That and some bank losses that we're seeing. Let me go ahead and take you through what we're seeing in the indexes, because we were looking at all gains across Europe, and now only the CAC 40 in Paris is up. Everything else is down. Not huge losses, but the FTSE is down 1/3%. The DAX is down 0.1%. The IBEX 35 in Milan is down 0.6%. Sorry, the FTSE MIB in Milan is down 0.6%. The IBEX 35 in Madrid is down also 0.6%. So you had, for example, Soc Gen coming out with a loss. You had BBVA coming out with a loss. You had Lloyd's posting big loan loss provisions. So you have financials that are posting concerning numbers, and you have, as I said, Royal Dutch Shell cutting its dividend at one point falling 7%. And those are heavy stocks, so they're weighing on the equity indexes. U.S. futures were up this morning. Now we're looking at a mixed picture. S&P 500 E-mini contracts are down. Dow Jones and NASDAQ futures are still green, especially NASDAQ futures, 0.4%. NASDAQ and big tech looking to put up some gains when the market opens later on this afternoon. I want to quickly give you a look as well at oil. Brent crude is trading for $24.26 a barrel. And we're looking at NYMEX WTI up 12% to $16.85. So gains in the oil patch as the dollar weakens against the euro, 108.84, strengthens against the pound barely at 124.68. And right now you can buy 106.57 yen for your dollar. By the way, the U.S. Treasury yield is 0.6077%.
Always good to get the market check in first of all. But let's talk about what investors are looking at. Yes, they're weighing these positive developments about the coronavirus treatment or possible treatment, but that comes against the dire growth warnings that we also got from the Fed, from Jay Powell yesterday. And then at the same time, the slew of earnings highlighting the impact of the pandemic. Shell, as you mentioned, and Societe Generale. For more, let's bring in Paul Markham, Global Equities Portfolio Manager at Newton Investment Management. Paul, thank you so much for joining us on radio this morning. What do you make of the earnings season so far? Obviously, it was expected to be bad, but the expectation and the reality always slightly different.
Yes, and there are some very sort of stark differences between individual companies, and we've seen some very different attitudes from within the energy sector towards dividends, for example, as you've just mentioned, and that to some extent probably will end up being a timing difference. I think in many sectors you will find that this whole situation is quite a leveler for the time being. There will be some business models intra-sector which can do better than others, but on the whole, quite a lot of the business outlook will be much more cut on a sector basis, I suspect. So it's certainly probably not a time to be looking too closely really at earnings. I think as we get through this year towards the fourth quarter, then maybe if we start seeing some form of normalization, then the market could take a more informed view as to where we go from here and how life will look going forward. But I think at this stage that's pretty difficult to do.
What are your clients doing right now, Paul?
Well, we've